Okay, we're about to replace the shaft seal on a Pentair SuperFlo pool pump. This is model number 340038, but you'll find that most Pentair products in the SuperFlo series will operate sort of the same. Even some of the Hayward pool pumps offer a similar method of replacing the shaft seal also. The main reason for replacing the shaft seal is you may get a leak in your pump halfway along the body. This is usually a good sign the shaft seal is gone. It is also a good sign that this O-ring is also gone too, so it's good to check these two components here. So that's probably one of the main causes of needing to replace this shaft seal. The shaft seal comes in two parts. We have this ceramic ring here. It usually has a white face and it has a rubber surround. And we also have this spring section too, which has a carbon face on this side. Typically the carbon face here will touch on this white ceramic side there when it's inside the motor. So that is always the way this shaft seal gets placed inside the motor. Some people install it the other way around and end up with some problems like smoking and various other things, so you don't want that. So let's get started. So the first thing we should do really is remove the old one from the system. I've already done that, I've cleaned it up a bit. In this section here we're actually going to put the ceramic seat, which is this part here, and it goes in that way like so. So when you're removing your old one, make sure you get all the debris out and anything else. Inside the pump itself, just make sure this is nice and clean here. This is the motor shaft. It's good to get some fine grit sandpaper on here and really smooth out the shaft there to make sure there's no debris or anything on there which would prevent the shaft from turning freely. You should be able to rotate this with your fingers rather easily, like so. So make sure this is nice and smooth before installation. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put the ceramic seat in the housing here. Okay. This is known as the seal housing or seal plate. What you do, you get a bowl of soapy water here and just put it around the rubber of the ceramic seat here. This will ensure that you can push it into this housing with relative ease. You don't want to scratch or damage this ceramic face. Okay, so I've just pushed that into there. A tiny bit of soapy water around the black rubber will ensure that can push in. You can push that in with your fingers, it goes in relatively easy. The next step is to put the seal plate back onto the motor here. It's a good idea before placing this part back onto the motor to ensure that the top side, you can see a tiny little label here that says top, actually corresponds to the top side of your motor. It's easy to put it on the other way around and cause some sort of problems when you reassemble the pump back together. This is held on by these 4 bolts which get installed in these holes on the rear, right there. Once you have the seal plate back onto the main motor here, you can start to install this spring section of the shaft seal. This is the rotating spring seal. It has 2 sides. It has this carbon end right here, this lapped end, and on the other side there's a more metal side. We want to make sure this lapped side faces the ceramic white side of the other portion of the seal, and it just slides over the motor shaft like so. Very quick, very easy. The next step is to screw the impeller back on. So take that side, press it against the threaded edge here. It's a good idea to put a tiny bit of grease on this threaded end here, and then it simply just threads back on. To get a good tight fit on there, on the rear of the pump, we have the back access to the shaft here. So just hold this here with a wrench while turning this back on to make sure we have a snug fit. Once you've done that, you can put the screw back in the middle of the impeller and it's reverse thread, so make sure you tighten it to the left. Okay, now the impeller's all on, you should be able to freely turn it. If not, something may be snagging and you might have a bit of a problem. The next step, get the diffuser back on. There's 3 screws, they're all flathead in this model, and there's only one way that all 3 screws will line up, so you can't really go wrong with this pot, and that seems to be right there. And they're the screws, so just screw those in and then we'll go on to the next part. Okay, now before putting the pump back together to its other half there, make sure you lube up these O-rings, so the main body one here and also this one on the diffuser. If you don't, then they could dry out in this, if you tend to leave your pump in the sun, and you'll get another leak. Well, just lube them up and then we'll put it back together with the 4 bolts. Okay, when bolting the main body onto the motor for this pump, make sure you put the stand down first, because these bolts are all the same length and they have to go through the bottom of the stand, so you'll find the threads at the bottom are actually shorter than the ones on the top. So if you do it without the stand, you'll find you'll start cracking this. So just make sure to put the stand in and then bolt all the way through like so, and there'll be 4 of those.